The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. We know the summer can be a busy time for businesses, and we appreciate you being here. For those of you that we haven't had the opportunity to work with yet, I'm Brad Quack, President of VirtualIT. We are a managed service provider that provides outsourced IT services for businesses in the small, medium business market. It's our goal to empower our clients to get the most out of their technology, and it was with that in mind that we decided to start this series of webinars. Everyone is aware of Microsoft's suite of Office products like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. But there are several other tools that are freely available to you that can make a drastic impact on the way you run your business. And we wanted to share a spotlight on a few of those for you. Today, we're kicking off the series with Microsoft Planner, a tool that we have come to rely upon heavily at VirtualIT. We started using Planner about 18 months ago to track our progress on all of our projects. And since then, our project business has been much more successful and efficient. We bring up our project planner board every day in our project team meeting, and we can see at a glance what phase each project is in, what the task was that was completed, who has been assigned each task, and whether or not we need to assign more resources to that project engineer to complete the project. That's just a brief overview of how we use Planner, but there are a lot of other ways it can be used to help keep your businesses organized. We partnered with Knowledge Wave to help show you more details on how this works. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to John to give you a deep dive into Microsoft Planner. John?
Great, thank you, Brad. Welcome, everyone. Hopefully, we're off to a great start. Hopefully everybody can hear me and you're able to hear Brad. We're excited today to talk about Planner and To Do. These are two very cool apps that work well together, and they're part of your Microsoft 365 subscription, which I'll talk about more in depth, what you get with that. But we just wanted to do a couple housekeeping things. I'm excited to talk about this topic, and we also want to make sure that you have any questions answered. So we have a question panel here, so you can type in that. We'll do our best to respond. Dan St. Hilaire is here as well of Knowledge Wave. He'll be doing some moderation with questions, but likely I'll be able to answer those during, and then we'll have some time at the end if people need. So maybe practice in the question panel. Let me know you can hear me, say hi, tell me where you're from. It's always fun. This is meant to be a little more interactive, and you can certainly use during this, if you wanted to open it up on another screen and look at your own, everybody does have this, and you can also get the app on your phone. But before we actually get started, hopefully audio is okay and everything. Again, please use that question panel even just to say hi. But I'm going to do a poll. Oh, cool. Hello and welcome. I'm going to do a poll, and just a very easy one. Are you currently using Planner for any projects? I'm curious. It's one of those things that if you have it, you might think, well, yeah, I'm going to use it as much as possible. Other people may not even know about it. This is something, don't be embarrassed. It may be something you didn't even know existed because you may not have had an opportunity to use it. But when you start using it, I think you're going to love it if you don't. It looks like a lot of people have not. So again, maybe you've never used it. I possibly should have added that. Have you heard of it? Have you used it? But if it's not something you're using every day, I think you're really going to like this webinar. Brad gave a really good example of how organizations use it. And there's one thing that he mentioned that really stood out to me, which is we bring it up every morning and everybody looks at it. It's all the most current, up-to-date stuff. And part of that is the transparency part and accountability. It's great. So I've got a couple of examples of that. But just to give you some information about the responses, we had 18% of people, yes, or 17% yes, 75% of people are not using Planner, and 8% sort of. I love it. So I'm going to close the poll. That was just more or less for fun and awareness at the same time. All right, well, we do have an agenda, and some of the things we're going to talk about today include how to create a planner, and that could be for a group or for a project. It could even be for tasks that you might have that you do want to be a little bit more transparent. And I did mention accountability. That's kind of one of the cool byproducts of this, is that everybody can see the step. So if you have multiple people assigned to one task, it's easy to just check it out. There's a Planner hub, and I'll show you what that looks like. And this app can be accessed a few different ways. Probably the most comprehensive look at it is going to be going to the web browser, which I'll show you, but it surfaces in other places too. It could be in Teams, it could be on your phone or your iPad, and it could also be on a SharePoint site. And we'll talk about cards and basically the different tasks that you can assign, as well as buckets. And buckets are kind of like swim lanes. If you think of this as like a flow chart of tasks, that's what that is. And we can assign plans and tasks to users. And again, they can have more than one person in there. So I'll show you how you can manage adding people or taking them off that task if they're not needed, maybe. So then just creating from start, what it looks like, how to modify them. This will be kind of as we go, you'll get to see this kind of stuff. And then I'm going to talk about what Microsoft To Do is, which most people are using something like To Do for their personal life, whether it's telling Siri, hey, remind me of this, or hey, Google, remind me of an appointment tomorrow. That, when I said that, my phone turned on. So those types of things we've integrated into our lives, and it's easy to integrate that into work. So you can use To Do on a personal level, and then Planner on a more group or project level. And this is different than Microsoft Project. If I have project managers on this meeting, on this webinar, project managers, you're going to love this. Or if you're a person who manages a project or a development of something, you're going to love it too. So we'll go into how to create the to-do list. Super easy. I like to use that one on my phone, actually, a lot. And then accessing and working with tasks and to-do. So there are a few different ways you can get to it, as I mentioned, but the integration with Microsoft Teams is really good. In fact, I find myself not really going to the website and leaving Teams anymore. When I want to use Planner, I actually stay in Teams. Because for me, not for everyone, but for me, Teams is kind of like my work OS, my work operating system. I spend a lot of time in there, which is good. It means fewer clicks. So Microsoft Planner, let's talk about what it is. Because we've got 75% of people are not using it. Maybe you're not that familiar with it. So let's check it out. Planner is a project management tool. I would say it's lighter weight than something like Project, but it's designed to help teams organize, track, collaborate on tasks and projects more efficiently. And it is very efficient because we've got that one place to check it out, and then we can also use it in a few different ways. And each project's going to be using them differently. I mean, you could have them be a quick Scrum, or you could, a lot of people are using it for a Kanban style of moving processes, going through whatever projects, initiatives you might have. But what it does is it provides you something that you're already paying for. And that's another one of the cool things. If you consider the Microsoft 365 subscription that you have as a toolkit, then Planner is one of the tools in that toolkit. And there are lots of tools in there. Nobody knows how to use most people don't know how to use every tool that exists, but you certainly want to use the ones available to you and use them well. So Planner is one of the tools. You work together, it's accurate, and it's efficient. So the idea is creation of a task and then assign it. And sometimes I assign them to myself, and other people could see those tasks, but they might not be assigned. So that matters for notifications too. If you don't want to be on every task, because you might get every notification. You can also set deadlines, so there are expectations that are set, and then you can track the progress. But again, it's part of your subscription. So you've got this tool that's really cool, and you're already paying for it. So, and the way that it's integrated, this is an important part of Planner, because it's one of those apps that maybe isn't known by everyone, but it has an impact because it's part of this group of apps that are working together in a Microsoft 365 group. So I'm not going to deep dive in. We will certainly do this in other webinars that we have, and we've got tons of content about what these all do individually. But you'll notice there's Planner, and it's next to the word always. So as part of a Microsoft 365 group, it's powered by Azure, but you get all these different things that you need for a project or to work as a group. So what that is this all access backstage pass that gives you video hosting. Your meetings can live here too. SharePoint site, a OneNote notebook, Power BI, which is very exciting, calendar, email, all these things that you'd want with a project. Well, Planner. So you've got to have a way to track tasks. Now, many of us did it in Outlook for a long time, but it's one person and you can defer a task. It's not as dynamic as Planner. This is awesome. And then sometimes with these groups, you can link them to other things. So if you need the higher level, you can use a roadmap in Project. But if you tie it to Teams, then you can actually have an app within Teams, here's Teams, called Tasks by Planner and To Do. And it's a tile, and you can even move it up to the top. I like having it up there because I use it all the time. And look here, my tasks to do, and then here's some plans. So that's all integrated and it works really well. In fact, I use it for webinars like this. And one thing that I like is it keeps me on track. So it will tell me in the form of emails and notifications that I have upcoming tasks. So it'll tell me dates. These are some examples for like this trade show, or I've got to design a new logo, or at least just the draft for marketing. Well, look, this lives in Teams in the logo design channel. And then you can look at your tasks in a few different apps. So this is Outlook. So you can kind of see from that previous graphic, these are all related. It's all part of the toolkit and we can use them together in such harmony. It's great. So I like this. It reminds me, it'll tell you, by the way, when you're late, which is good. And then we're going to go into To Do. We'll talk about task management and how you can use this app on an individual level. So it's organizing, prioritizing stuff. It does help you be more productive because you're keeping yourself on track and you can focus on something that's maybe due right away. But the idea is it's one place that you can go. So if you create a task in Outlook, you can link it to these tasks as well. And in Teams, we've got that tile that I showed on the side. That way you can get to it really easily. I like pinning that one. Also, you can get it from anywhere. So if you're on your phone, your iPad, easily access it. And then you can also link anything to it. Since it's all connected, it's really easy to do that. So let's go in to the actual app. I'll go into the browser here. I'm just in Edge, and I've gone to this example. I'm just going to use some practice stuff. Make sure that you're signed in as you, because you may have a few different accounts. And here I've just gone to the office.com or Microsoft365.com start page. Check it out. You could even open it up right now if you wanted to on another screen. So what this does, this has been redone in the past year or less, and we get recommended stuff. It's using a lot of AI to keep you up to date on what you're working on, what other people are working on, and it's helpful. But to get to the Planner app, if you click on the app launcher, there's Planner. Now, I'd recommend pinning it to your launcher if this is something you want to use a lot. I've pinned it, so my choice is to unpin. So if you click on your app launcher and you don't see it, just choose Explore All Your Apps, and it's going to be in Productivity. So you should see it more in Productivity, or you could search for it too. But there's Project, again, different than Planner. Project costs more money. It's a little bit higher subscription because it's more robust. You've got dependencies and things like that that are accounted for. It's definitely more project manager type. Planner can be for something like a project. It could be for an event, something like that on a smaller level. So that's why it's really accessible. It's really easy. So again, you can get from the app launcher, it would go here to, or search, and you'll find it in that. So here it is. Using it, it doesn't add right away for us. Using it on your phone is great. I do that too. And again, for the reminders, so you can get the app. It sends you a link if you want to. So in this environment, we are seeing Planner, and we've got nothing is pinned right now. We've got a new plan, the hub, which it brings us to right away. And then we have assigned to me. There's pinned, so what that means, we have all of our plans here, different ones that we might be part of, and they all live in different places. And they are always associated with a SharePoint site. And we saw that on that group graphic. So remember when I said it matters, it has impact, Planner does. It's one of those apps that if you create a new plan, it has to live somewhere. It doesn't go on your OneDrive or something. Since it's group related, it goes with the group stuff. So if you create a new plan, it wants to create a whole environment for you. And then it wants you to invite other people to be part of your plan. So it starts building one of those Microsoft 365 groups. It would be the same thing if you created a SharePoint site, and then it's going to do all that for you. Or you created a team in Teams, it's going to do all that for you. Same thing with Planner. So it tries to guide you through. I'll show you what I mean. It sounds like I'm making a big deal out of it at first, but watch. If I click New Plan, it gives me a chance to create a new one, but it also gives me some templates that can be helpful. So if you know you want to create a plan and planner for employee onboarding, because it's so hard to keep track of, like, all right, we've got this new hire group and there's dates and there's paperwork you have to complete and so on. This has a lot of step-by-step stuff that is common, like business plan, project management. Obviously, that's a good one. And then software development and a simple plan. I'm going to show you at first what this looks like, and I'm going to then back out. We'll come back. But the reason I want to show you this is, look, it wants to have you name it and then add it to an existing group. You have to tie a plan and planner to some group. So A, it's going to create one for you, or B, you can attach it to one that's already existing. So I could attach it to like Spring Hill, for example, and title it and create it. I'm going to close that. And if I just choose create and I don't add it to an existing group, that's a really important step. Then what that did was create a whole group called VirtualIT. And now it's got its own SharePoint, it's got its own everything else. So my recommendation when you're using this, and it is exciting to use to start a plan and planner, think about redundancy and just make sure you're setting yourself up for success and something that you can scale up, because it's group oriented. It's part of this toolkit. Make sure you tie it to one of those. It's a best practice. So that's, to me, a helpful piece of information, because if we want to use, like, this project has its own SharePoint site and its own team. It's called Mark 8 Project Tracking. And this is, we can tell it's the planner app because we see the word planner there. But this is just how this is set up in by buckets in this format. It's kind of like the swim lanes. We have different cards. They're all labeled. This is a very basic example. But you can see different people are assigned to the different tasks that we have in this plan. We also have it show up sometimes, if you choose to, on your SharePoint site. So let's switch to sales and marketing. This is something that is pretty common. Here, I'm on the sales and marketing SharePoint site. So here, I'm going to show you how integrated things actually are. This has a little Teams icon there, and that goes to the team in Teams. So if I click that, this is a very quick, easy way. I'm going to open the full version, which should do automatically for you. But look, now I'm in Teams. So I was just at the SharePoint site, and because it's a Teams connected SharePoint site, that means I can kind of go back and forth between those two because of that icon. So that's great. It means if I want to have meetings and conversations and collaborate within the Teams environment, I can do that, and they're connected. But notice right here, these charts, these are cool. This is Planner. So all those tasks that I just showed were in buckets and cards, which is great because, I mean, you can see pictures of the people and you can see the stuff. But sometimes some of us want to see the chart. We want to see, okay, well, how many tasks haven't we started yet? And which ones are in progress? And who did what? Someone's late, and great, we've got 4 completed. We've got different charts by priority. And then here we can see the members, who did what. So Lee is late. I don't have any. Megan, in progress. She's been really productive, as you can see. Kind of a cool way to look at it. And this is an example of a web part on SharePoint that's reaching out to our plan and planner and then making the view as the charts. That's cool because we're integrating all these different tools that we have that aren't separate. Sometimes it's like, oh, SharePoint's this one thing over here, Teams is over there, and then we have this thing we're learning about, which is Planner. They're actually all working together. So keep that in mind. When we go into Teams and we go to tasks by Planner and to do, This is another way to look at our plan and planner. Look, there's this product launch event. This is the plan, but we're seeing it in list format. So some of us love a list. This is it. You can add tasks. We've got those going. But if you go to board, that's going to show you the swim lane style. And look here, completed one. So you can always feel like, I don't see that task anywhere. Oh, it's because Megan completed it. There it is. That reduces emails. That reduces calls. You can always kind of take a look and see where things are. So here, this is labeled just as an example. This is a furniture rental for the launch event. Megan's been assigned and it's been labeled as an event planning task. But there are all sorts of different tasks you might have, and maybe colors are meaningful to you. Keynote presentation, these are customized. Some of them are just the color. Got some bold ones and some more pastel ones, but you can go in and click the pencil and you can edit any of these to suit your org or your group. And that's cool. You don't need to use those. You just delete it and add them back, and you can add multiple ones. I like that. So when we use it for webinars like this, I might have different, or we do have different buckets, which are again like the swim lanes, that house these cards, and they're for individual webinars that we might be presenting. And then 3-4 people might be added to it for that workflow. And then somebody starts it, I might go in and check off different things. And it really does help. In fact, Dan and I were talking, even this morning at a meeting, someone asked, hey, where are we at with these 4 different deliverables? And we're talking about it's taking some time from the meeting. Oh, I'll email you what I have offline. We have this conversation. But I kind of spoke up. I was like, if you go to the planner and just look, it's all right there. And it's true. And it wasn't that weird. It was just a suggestion. And I think any of us can do that. Just go to planner. People are accountable. We see that transparency. We see even a little indicator right here that tells us it's in progress. If I go look at charts, I can go see, oh, that's late, like we saw. So I displayed this on that SharePoint site. So if your team loves using SharePoint, or if you've got people that just want to see that status, you can do that. Set it up that way, it's customizable. But yeah, the different views are great. One view that a lot of people don't realize, even if you use Planner, the 17%, and you're using it, consider doing this. Click on the schedule view, and then you can see the calendar here. So each of the tasks that you have, it'll have the duration of all those projects there, of all those different tasks. We can also do filtering, which I like. Sometimes you just want to see everything that's due this week. That can give you a good snapshot. So my example from this morning's meeting, anybody can just go to their teams, click on tasks by planner to do, and it's right there. I'm going to click on by bucket. I like the bucket view, but you can also do it by assigned to, which the buckets you can relabel up here. But check this out. If you want to see, if you're either a manager or you have a manager, you just want to see your tasks, we can set that view up by who it's assigned to. You can also change your view. That's why I think it's important to show these views, because it's easy to look at it and say, oh, that's not going to work for us. But it might, if you just take a minute and kind of try out some of these other things. This is one we use a lot for our webinars. Not started yet, it's in progress, and are we done? And then we can kind of add and remove different important things. I'm going to show you what we can do in each of those cards, but the views, this is helpful. By due date, late, future. Again, this is an example. Think about how you could use it. Since we apply labels, we can use them that way too. So that can be helpful to, because if you're a member of a lot of different plans and your team's using it heavily, it can feel overwhelming if you don't know about these different options. And then priority. So again, list view, which sometimes is good just to look for that color and to see what's late, maybe a board, charts, and schedule. So the schedule view will actually show up in Outlook if you wanted to. So that's another calendar that you can look at. So this tile in Teams also shows us to do. So on the top part, we see my tasks, and that's different than shared plans. So the word shared is in there because it is a group-oriented thing. My, that's me, of course. These are not group stuff. So if I go to tasks, and I'm showing you this in Teams because I know a lot of people maybe stay in Teams to chat or have meetings, but sometimes it can be frustrating if you need to leave and then come back and you can lose your place. When it's all here, we have tasks that you can do here, like submit report by 3 or 4, typo, put in my priority, put a due date on here, which I can type in, and then I can, oops, invalidate. Well, I like to click the drop down anyway. What am I doing? There we go. And then I can put that in, or no date. That works too. So when we do that, whenever you create, and this is just a simple task. I used to have a task on my to-do item to get crickets for my kid's lizard on the way home from work. You can really put anything you want in there. But if you use the to-do app, like on your phone, you can add it to what's called My Day, and it will kind of place that right on top of your stuff and remind you. So that's cool. If you have a lot of things going on and you want to push something to that day that maybe you were going to put off, that's great. Add it to your day, and then it's going to show up on the next section here for My Day. So this shows all of them where you can add, you can sort and filter, and then here you can even change the progress of it, move it around or delete it. So it's pretty intuitive. Just type and go, and then click on the more options, 3 dots, and then you can go and make those changes. You can see a little sun there. That means it's been added to My Day, which is the next part. So this is cool. Again, just kind of pushing things or pulling things to the front of your desk, putting them on the top of the pile. This is the important ones. Here we have other ones that can have a different status level, or they could be living inside of our plan for that product launch. This is a handy one. Anything assigned to me, so I can see any tasks that I have that are late or coming due. I can see any that I've done. And this is a newer feature, which I think is cool. If you flag emails for follow-up, then that means they'll show up here. So you're integrating yet, there we go, another app within the toolkit. That's pretty cool. Usually, it used to be that, I'm gonna bring this up for you. It used to be that they were so separate. Tasks were much harder to do in the Microsoft environment. And if you had stuff in your inbox, when you right click, and depending on your view, there are different ways, but there's follow-up. I can go in and say follow up on this today. And what that should do is add to those items, and look, there's to do right there. So this is tasks and this is to do. So there's a bit of a transition period between the older way, which is tasks in Outlook, and this new app, which is super cool and been added. So you may see that on the side. If you don't, it's coming soon. And what that does is launches a very similar interface than what we saw in the Teams environment. You can also go in here and create things like group lists, and that's all tied together. So again, big toolbox, lots of tools, and they do work really well together. It's like those tools that share batteries and stuff. So personal tasks and flagged emails even, and then our group tasks that we might use in Planner. Really cool to have these integrated like that. So if we think of it like a hierarchy, and like what's the easiest, quickest way to get to my stuff? If you're in Teams, Planner is pretty much everywhere. Each team that you have, like here's a team called Spring Hill. Every team's going to have a general channel, and you can add different things on the top. So if you have a plan for this group already, you can click on the plus and actually add a plan that you've created, or you can create a new one. So that's, again, that consideration I mentioned before It does give you more information if you want to learn about what the ins and outs of this mean, but often you'll tie it to the existing one that you have. And then you can choose to post or not, but within Teams, this is awesome. You just create a new tab, and then you're going to use the existing there it is. So now I don't have to go to that other app. I can stay on that channel and just click a tab, and there it is. And if you don't love it, you can always click on the top and go to the website, and it's going to launch it that way. So you kind of get to pick, you do get to pick how you want to consume Planner, how you use it, how your group does. But this view is really good. When I'm not using Teams, this is the place I'll go in the browser like this if I want to update things. So here on this this plan that we were just seeing in Teams, there are the different views. On the top, we can see that it's a linked plan. Here, we can pin it if we like. That's going to just put it in that spot that was empty earlier. So grid view, that's our list view that we saw earlier, just different name. We have board view, initiating planning. These make sense for this one because we did this. So initiate, if I changed it slightly just for an example, you can see it's easy. Somebody did a typo or something, just go in and fix that. Anybody can do it who is a member. So all these people can. Dan can, Nestor can, I can, Richard can. We can open it in Teams. So as I talk about it more, you can really see how easy it is to go to the different areas that you need. And I'll just show you that charts one again. I like this because it is interactive. So if you hover over something, it'll give you a little more insight. Kind of has a Power BI feel to it. And then the schedule. So this will have the different things, the different tasks that were due. And you can even interact and add tasks by clicking and actually start making one of those cards from this view. So if you like a calendar that looks like it's on the wall or your desk, use this view. If you like Visio and swim lanes and that process, use this one. All right, I'm going to go and I'm just going to choose add task and show you what this looks like. So if we add a task, think about it, it could be really anything from a departmental event. This one happens to be for a construction project. So I'm going to put notify I'm just going to put a notify. This was something, just a basic name, and you can, before it's even created, see this is in the, we haven't even added it. Put up this one small touch, just notify people of changes to the roadway, the due date. I can navigate through months. This is really easy. I could say by Friday. I can assign it. Often I'll assign it to myself, but sometimes you create tasks for other people or you want to get it set up. And Dan and Nestor. Those are suggestions. We can always type people in. You begin typing their name. There's Megan. She's not a member of this team though. So it lets you know. So remember, this is all membership based, part of the team. So you may not want them to see that material. Like, oh, Megan's not a part of this. So that means it's going to add her to the plan. So something else to consider, since they're all related and it's part of that group. If you give her access, she's going to have access to everything else, like the team and like the SharePoint site and all that. So that's good usually because it's meant for collaboration. But if you don't want that, then cancel and maybe let her know some other way. So that's just, I think that's important because sometimes you can wonder, like, is everything still secure? And the answer is yes. This is all leaning on SharePoint. So we have that high level security, which is great. So I just did some basic stuff. You don't have to do those to get started. We could have just hit add task and then fill it in after. But there it is. It's so small right now. So I'm going to click on it, go right in, and there we go. This has got a lot of stuff on it. And it's helpful because it uses some AI to guide us as we need, like suggested documents you might want to add to it. either things you've been working on or it recognizes titles. All right, here's the name. You can change it completely if you want to. It doesn't matter. You can add people. You can take them away. You can add guests if they've been added to like your team as a guest. You can add them as long as we know who they are and they've been authenticated. This is where we can add our label. Oh, Dan, you can see this is Teams working. I got a notification. Oh, Dan, looks like Dan started it. He's getting right to it. So I know right away Dan's already seen this and that he's started it. So I know he probably went in and chose in progress. That's cool. Hopefully he didn't do completed. I wouldn't believe him, but that's awesome. I got that as a notification, which you can turn on and off whenever you like. But look, now I can see it here in Teams. That's cool. Thanks, Dan. But I can go in here and pick a label, or maybe I just want to call it Lime. That's cool too. It's in Initiate. We're going to keep it in that bucket for now. If you want to move things to different buckets, it's really easy to do. You can just either click here or you can drag them and click away. Super easy to use, really. You don't have to go find a little button to click to close and stuff. You can drag that over there. You can drag it over here as it moves, or if we want to reorganize stuff, that's cool. So I'm going to click once and go back in. So I love it. I can navigate or relocate it. I can check the progress by just reading it, and then I can move it. If this becomes important or urgent, or maybe it's something really low and there's no due date. Sometimes there's no due date. Start date, I think best practice when you create it, put it in, but maybe it's something that's not starting until next month. Put the start date in then, and then people will know. And then they'll also be notified. You can do like recurring or repeating tasks, like every week submit a report or something like that. That can be helpful too. I'm going to leave that one does not repeat. Any notes go here. You can also have a checklist here. So you can have a contact, local, and it tries to correct you, by the way, but and then it realizes it's just a period. But you can have other items. Okay, just a simple checklist. And I'm going to choose to show this on the card. So you can show your notes, you can show the checklist. If you add an attachment, you can choose to show that on there as well. And you can add attachments either from your computer, from the existing files that you have in Teams, or from a link to maybe like a SharePoint site somewhere or some other URL. So I do this for our webinars. We go through, we have buckets and progress and priority. I go through and I check things off like this, or oh, whoops, I got excited. I can uncheck, and then I can see those checks on the front. And again, that means anybody can go see any of these people or anybody who's part of that team. But I love that. I love that kind of transparency. We don't have to send as many emails. But here we've got, looks like Dan's already working hard. Can I notify sooner than due date? Yes. Yes, you can. This is all able to be changed to pretty much anything you want, which is cool. And as I was mentioning, I started to, on the checklist. So the attachments, it looks like we've got this link to a SharePoint site, and here's a drawing. This is a nice image. I love it. Look, it lives here on my SharePoint site. In the sites, in the one called Spring Hill. It's in the design subfolder, which is probably a channel. So that's cool. Again, now it can access that pretty much anywhere, which I like. So the other thing, you can also show that on the card. See how that changed? So if you like a more visual with pictures, because I like that because I can just look, see the list or the image, and then click and go in and access it. But when I do an attachment for, like I say, I'm doing a webinar on how to use Microsoft Excel, and I go on and on about how to make these fancy pivot tables, and people want to follow along and they want to practice. So I go through the steps, and I send Charlie, he'll do the next step and post a webinar recorded one. But I process like, hey, I edited it and I answered any questions people had, and I think we're good. I've got the practice file, and then I add a link to the practice file, because then he knows exactly which one it is, and then he posts that as well so that other people can watch it. So that's cool. I can quickly get that webinar up and get a practice file so people can go play in Excel. So that's just one example of how I use it. And Dan's making a comment here, so I can say, thanks for adding the image and working so hard, and send. So now he's going to get that. It's recorded. Everything's time, date, stamp. Really cool. I'm going to click away. Now, sometimes, and this is a good one. What if you get excited, you start making a plan in Planner, and you did everything right, like you linked it to the right project and everything. But what if it's like, oh, meet with the transportation agency? That's got a lot of stuff to do. That's what you can do is actually make that its own task. So it's like this hierarchy. We've got buckets and cards, and then we've got checklists. What if a checklist item is worthy of its own card or task? You can click that up arrow, and then look, there it is. Meet with transportation agency. I would probably make this look nicer. And then I can start my assignment. I can say start, you know what, he doesn't have to start until August. So this is an example of August 15th. No due date. And then I can just click away and it's in. So easy to use. Pick and choose your view, pick and choose how you want these to be organized. So how does this change as we go? So let's say Dan started this. It's, you know, we've got awaiting review here. You can make that smaller if that annoys you, by the way, to have so many words on there. But if we go in, let's say things are checking off, and Dan makes a comment like, hey, this is ready to go. We're moving along fast. We can start creating meetings from this. We can add other attachments that might have become relevant since then. So you can always add like a document that way, or here's a PDF for it, and then they live up here. So maybe I want to show that elevator pitch, show that on card, and then it actually shows the PDF. It should load in a moment. It'll show an image of that, which is cool. It shows an image of the Excel spreadsheet or Word, which I like. But yeah, it's totally you can change your mind. You saw how we took a checklist item and then made that its own card, and then as things move along, we can like move those through the buckets, which is nice. All right. So if we take Microsoft To Do, look at that for like, what is that for? I mean, you can still use it to do project planning for a group, but you can just make it like the equivalent of these checklist items that we saw. So on the obtain permits, we had a couple of checklist items here. You could make those to-do items. And that's like a smaller, more granular scale. That can be helpful. So quick review, new plan. If you create a new one, you can go in and be like, yes, I want to do this. Let's keep our plan. Let's go do one of these templates. So it gives you ideas. It's got examples like, this is awesome. I'm going to go and this is going to be, no, we're not going to do onboarding. That's not the one I was going to show you. So this is going to be deploy new version update. Okay, this is a project. We want to do some planning before we actually let everyone use the new version of something. So what we can do is go in and pick whatever team it might be that we're using, something like this, and then you can create it. What this is doing is using a template, and just takes a moment, pretty quick. Oops, there we go. Oh, it did put in some of these things. So it's got a few things in there, but I'm the only one right now. So it's really easy to get started. The templates, actually, that was way faster than I thought because I was looking for it and it was already there. But pinning those, creating a plan and planner, making sure that it's connected properly. And then once you do it, you're going to see it show up here. If you don't see that tile on the side that shows like tasks and the to-do items and the planner items, click down here on apps. You can search for it, but it's probably going to show up right away because it is really popular. And it's not going to show up as planner. It's going to show up as tasks by planner and to do. I forgot about that. They updated that. So there it is. You can probably read add if you don't have it yet. And then you can open it, add it, and then it's going to be there. If you don't see it again, click on the 3 dots, and sometimes there's an overflow here. So there are tons of other cool apps that go with it, like kind of like approvals is the one that goes well with, like, you plan it and then you get things approved and you check items off. So I like to have those next to each other sometimes. Now you can integrate this plan lots of different ways. I mentioned SharePoint. By the way, if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask, but I'm going to show that web part. That's what that's called, where we saw the charts. But maybe you're thinking, well, I want to see this other part. That's cool, but there are lots of different views within Planner. So this is the sales and marketing SharePoint site, and I'm on the home section of this. To go in and have something like this is called the web part. So all someone has to do is click edit, and if they're a member, they can actually do this. We've given them permission. We can go in and add a title and so on, but I'm going to delete it just to show you. All you have to do is click on this little plus, and it has a nice tooltip. So I lean on those. I think you should too. Add a new web part in column 1. I could add it over here if I wanted to, but that looks good. Click. I used it recently, so there it is. But there are tons of different web parts that you can add to this, internal, external as well. But we don't need to add that. We're going to do planner. And it says over here, which plan do you want to do? And it's going to go to any plan that's associated with that SharePoint site. Pick from the drop down. You can add a new plan if you want to and create it, so you can have more than one plan for your group. But just everybody's going to have permission. It could be different projects though. But I'm not going to do that one. We've got, look at all these choices. We can do the board view. We could do charts. That's all of them. We could do just the status chart. Sometimes people just want to open it up, go and see it. And you can display this in Teams too. That's cool, just a quick view. Members, this is the accountability part. You can show that. The buckets, see to do. Each of those buckets is going to have its own chart and the progress. And that's one of the coolest parts about this is tracking the progress. And then here's priority. They're all, in this example at least, all medium. So that's cool. I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the board one just to show you. And then I can close that and I'm just going to republish it. Yes. There we go. And if you're thinking, well, it's cut off, I don't like that, because I don't. I'm going to go back to edit and clean this up. Maybe quick links aren't as important to me. I can either move them or delete. And the document library, I think I'm just going to move that down here. You can drag and drop stuff, which is pretty handy. So this is a 2-column one. We can change that even if we want to. We can get very picky about what this page looks like. But really, I just wanted to show you look how easy it is to add. I'm going to go. I think I do want the document library. If you want to change your mind, which I'm going to do, you can choose the pencil and you can go and edit the web part. I'll go back to charts. And then I want that blank space. That looks better. There, that's less overwhelming. And if sales and marketing people go to the SharePoint site, they're going to see that right in front. So check it out. Easy to add web parts. It's easy, once you know how, to add the app tile tasks by planner to do on the side. You can use it on your phone. You can just download that. And then certainly the to-do app, it's all built in together here, but shared plans and then to-do items for yourself. So hopefully this was helpful in just getting a little bit of awareness. I'm really glad I did that poll at the beginning to see, if you're using it now. But again, hopefully this was helpful. It'll help you gain control of your projects, make them more efficient, accurate, and good communication. So thanks again, Brad. Dan, if there's anything else, yeah.
Yeah, I thought we got a minute or two before we hand it back over to Brad. I thought I would share just a couple of examples of how we use Planner. So we're delivering a webinar today. Our instructors have our own SharePoint team. We've got channels based on different things we do, like webinars or content creation. So we'll have different plans that align with those. One example is our webinar team has a planner, and there's a number of things that happen throughout that process. So we create the swim lanes, or those buckets that John was showing, for various stages, like scheduling to be run, corporate or member-based. And we have different steps. We have to deliver the webinar. We have to record the webinar. We have multiple people that then do certain things like add closed captions or post it to the learning library. So we can actually add more people and remove people from those tasks as that process happens. And one of the final things we do is add closed captions. And as John mentioned, we had somebody this morning ask, where are the closed captions? What's the status on this particular webinar we delivered? Getting them over to the planner, they are able to find that particular card and identify when it was due, what the status was. We have the comments throughout that process that we list. So that's one example that we use. I couldn't imagine being able to accomplish all the things that are tied to that without using a planner tool. And I dropped in some tips through the session within the chat today. So I hope you found some of those helpful. And really thank you for attending today's session.
All right. Thank you, John and Dan, for taking us on that tour of Microsoft Planner today. Appreciate your time. Also appreciate everyone's time in attending today. A couple of things. One is if you're currently a VirtualIT client and you start working with Planner and you have questions on it, feel free to call the help desk. We'd be happy to help answer your questions and keep you moving on that. If you're not a customer yet and you would like to have some assistance, you can reach out to Ashley Quaid or Mike McQueen. Mike is our virtual CIO for clients, and Ashley is our business development rep. Both of their contact information will be included in an email to you when we send out the recording of this webinar, which we're recording today. So, with that, just one last reminder, this is the first in a series of webinars we will be doing. Be on the lookout for an invitation to the next webinar we'll be doing about Microsoft Forms, is the tool that it's called. And with that, we hope you all have a great week and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Dan.